It has never been more obvious as it is now how the Oklahoma City Thunder can win the next two games against the Minnesota Timberwolves as they dropped a heartbreaker against the Timberwolves in game 3. And when I say heartbreaker, I'm not saying, it was close. They lost on a buzzer beater like it was game 1 against the Nuggets. No, they got blown out. They lost by 42 points somehow. All right. The same Oklahoma City Thunder team that has been blowing out teams, the same team that ended up winning by 26 in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. This same team ended up losing by 42 against the Minnesota Timberwolves in game 3 at Minnesota. All right. But Shai Gilgeous-Alexander talked about some stuff during the game because he was mic'd up. We got some audio recording of that, was able to transcribe it, talking about how they ended up losing that game 3 and what they need to do to bounce back and win what feels like a crucial game 4. Because they win game 4, they're up 3-1 in the series. There have been only 3 teams in NBA history to win a conference finals, win down 3-1. All right, think about all the matchups that we've had here. All right, think about all the series. Only 3 of them ended up winning the conference finals after being down 3-1. All right, so I'm going to break down what he said and my personal thoughts on what the Thunder need to do as well to bounce back and win game 4, take that 3-1 lead, and win game 5. Before we get into all that, though, want to take it's going to be a serious moment, guys. All right, friend of the channel, someone that comes on all the time. Thunder Chats, Dylan Hunsinger. You guys will know him as Thunder Chats. He's one of the co-hosts on the Topic Thunder podcast here. All right. His son Nova's in the hospital. And he, I know when we talk about this stuff, all right, it can get serious sometimes. And I know the, I don't know what right word to put in it, like the humility, all right, to kind of, go out there and ask money to help out. But, it's a tough time in the world. And so if you guys, have a time to spare, any money helps to help him out with the hospital bills for his son Nova, as it is a serious condition. So if you guys don't mind, I'm going to drop his Venmo in the video description here. If you guys have any spare money, I know it can be hard times for us as well, as it's also hard times for me here. But if you have any money to spare to help out with the medical expenses, mean the world not only to, us here at the channel, but also to him and his family. So my thoughts and prayers are with Dylan and his son Nova and the rest of his family. Sorry for getting all sappy there. It's a serious topic that I just want to throw out there and see if you guys would be willing to help out a friend of the channel. With that out of the way, let's go ahead, get into the topic to discuss here for today's video. Sorry, this is going to be a complete 180 here, but we do know what Shai said that kind of sparks like, ooh, the Thunder might have this team figured out. And he said it in a perfect way, all right? This is the most perfect example I can think of what happened in game 3 and how, they kind of lost what they can do to bounce back. This is what he said. Turnovers early. They were more physical early. They made shots and we missed shots. The other 2 are first. And then on top of this, they had a great night and we had a bad night. And sometimes that's the truth of the matter. Sometimes you just have a horrible night. It's not your night. When you look at the stats, and I'll bring them up here soon, that's what happened. It was just a bad night for them. All right. So we lose by 40. If we take care of these, we can still lose because of this nice, but it doesn't look like this. So he's saying like, look, we can have a bad night, but if we take care of 2 of those main things, like you said, turnovers early and, being a little bit as more physical, being in the same physicality as the Timberwolves, you can at least keep it a close game and not win by 42, even when you're having a bad night. And we've seen this happen before, where the Thunder have had bad nights and they stay in a game where they should have been blown out before. And sometimes they even end up winning it because of that bad night. We've seen it many times before. That's just all they got to do. If they can control the things that they can actually control in the game, like the physicality, all right, that kind of stuff, limiting turnovers, that is something you can control as a basketball player, making the right reads and not feeling, rushed or forced to make a pass there. You can stay in those games. And I agree with Shai completely, 100%. That is a, veteran take by him right there. Like, look, we handle these things. It's not as much as a blowout. All right. We may lose by 10 or 8 points, but that's just because we had a bad night. And in basketball, you're going to have bad nights. You need to come to realization you can't be perfect every single night. You're always going to be off in some sort of way. All right. Timberwolves had as close to a perfect night as they did against the Thunder. And we can go and look at the stats right here. Okay. Here are the Thunder stats from that game. As you can see, 14 of 44 from 3 is not going to cut it. And I don't like how over half our shots were 3-pointers. That's not the team the Thunder are. All right. It's not the team that they are designed to be whatsoever. They are a team, and we saw game one, that can take 21 threes and still win in a blowout fashion. That's the kind of team that they are. They're a team that's going to attack in the mid-range and drive in and attack in the paint and take quality threes instead of quantity threes. I feel like that night, all right, game three, they took quantity threes instead of quality threes. I think that was the problem right there. And it started to get to that point where it's like, look, after that first quarter, they felt like they had to take threes to get back in that game. That's not the case whatsoever. That's my main point of what I think they need to fix in there. Stop taking as many threes and drive in the paint, get to the mid-range, draw some fouls. And as much as the free throw merchant narratives that we have and everything, Shai and everyone else on this team has got to find a way to get to the free throw line. And that starts by driving, cutting, and slashing. That's what you do, all right? Realistically, only a third of our shots should be three-pointers, and then the rest should be, from the mid-range and paint. We should be taking 50 to 60 shots a night from the mid-range or paint, in my opinion. That's where the Thunder thrive, all right? Next thing you're going to notice here, the rebounding. Horrible rebounding. 31 rebounds on the night. Can't be doing that. You could not be doing that. You need to be getting close to 45 a night off the misses. We gave, Minnesota way too many second chance points in that game. That fact of the matter right there. And like Shai also mentioned there as well, turnovers. That's another thing that they got to do. They got to limit the turnovers. 14 turnovers right there. This is not the Thunder team we know and love. It isn't. They should only have like 8 or 7. Being honest about it, that's, what they need to do. There are some positives that we can look from the game as well. One of the positives, I feel like Dub wasn't playing horrible. Yes, he has a minus 31 there. That's mainly because of those turnovers, but I felt like defensively he was, all right. Offensively, I felt like he was solid. One of the lone bright spots for the Thunder. Lou Dort went 2 of 4 from 3. Yes, he didn't play that much, not a lot of shots there, but if he can continue that into the next game, take a few more threes at that kind of rate, it'll be a good night for him, and it'll be the Lou Dort that we know. And then some other players as well that you can kind of look at. Some developmental guys. Dylan Jones, solid night from him in a playoff game. And yeah, not a lot of pressure as it was a blowout. But look, 4 of 5, 2 of 2 from 3. The question about him this whole time has been, is that three-point shot going to be there? It was there. Usman Jang, 2 of 2. Played some solid defense as well. Another guy, AJ Mitchell, 6 of 11. He, was tied for the most points for the team that night at 14. Like, you look at it, there's a bunch of positives you can look at with the game. All right, there are. And like he said, the Minnesota Timberwolves had a great night. I can go and pull up their stats right here, right now. Look at this. 50% from 3. Tell me another time that the Timberwolves are going to go 50% from 3 in this series. They won't. They just won't. They won't shoot 57% from the field again in this series. That's like, when you look at it, that's just what's going to happen. They aren't going to play. They're not going to shoot that well. All right. They can, they might have a night or two where they shoot 36 to 40% from 3. All right. Maybe a little bit above 40. They might have one more game in their bag like that. If it gets to that point, they're not shooting 50% from 3 again or 57% from the field. They'll shoot 45% from the field and 35% from 3 again, which is what they normally do. All right. That's just a fact of the matter. When you look at it, they had a fantastic night. Almost perfect. All right, they did some things like the turnovers. They could have limited some more turnovers for the Minnesota Timberwolves to have a perfect night. And the Thunder just had a horrible night. It's like Shai said right there. Some nights you're just going to have bad nights, and the Thunder had a bad night. It's better to get it out right now instead of it being at home and now the Thunder being down 2-1. They're still up 2-1 in this series. They take game 4. They're up 3-1, and the series is practically over at that point. I don't want to jinx anything there, but there are only 3 teams in NBA history that have come down from 3-1 in the conference finals. Only 3, all right? There are only 13 teams in history that have come back from down 3-1 in the NBA playoffs. Only 13. So the odds are in the Thunder's favor to go ahead and, win game 4 and then win the series, all right? They just got to take care of business, fix some things that they can control. Like Shai mentioned, the physicality and turnovers, you can control those as basketball players. And it just comes down to, look, if you have a bad night, you control those 2 things. You're still going to stay in this game and have a chance to win it, even if you have a bad night and they have a great night. That's all I got for this video. Let me know what you guys think the Thunder need to do to overcome, this, I don't want to say deficit, all right, or anything. Tell me what you think the Thunder need to adjust before game 4. And as I mentioned earlier in the video here, if you have the money to spare and time to spare, all right, mean the world to me, Dylan, and his family. Just spare a little bit of money to help him out with medical expenses for his son, Nova. with that, all right, that's all I got for this video. See you guys in the next one.